Hello everyone, welcome to the When It Worked podcast. You're with the host Julian Leahy. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Jason, Ambeau and Daniel Laby. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Alright, we're going to play Jeopardy and then we're going to meet our fantastic guests. And we've got Dr. Daniel Laby, sports ophthalmologist, which is very interesting, and Jason Ambeau, a team training coach working with people who are trying to learn how to build successful teams. So we can all learn a lot from our wonderful guests. Let's get the board up and running. Fortunately, Nancy couldn't make it for some reason. Let's get the board up. And Dr. Laby, you can kick things off on the left. You'll be able to see the categories. South, anything with South in it. 19th century novels. Poland, sports birds. 70s cinema. CC, anything that uses CC as a, what do you call it when you make things stand for something? I can't remember. All right, so
carbon copy is CC is carbon copy.
Exactly like that. That's a good example, carbon copy. All right, Dr. Laby, you can kick things off. What category and what amount?
Let's go sports birds for 200 since it's sports. See what happens.
Sports birds for 200. In golf, this bird in the hand is worth 2 under par.
So how do we answer?
Just jump in, Jason, if you know it.
It's called an eagle.
It's an eagle. Jason's a golfer. Eagle is correct. Jason, you're in control now.
All right, we'll have sports birds for 800.
Sports birds for 800. Appropriately, these birds play in the National Hockey League.
What are the Red Wings?
Oh, now, are they birds? See, I didn't know that.
Sounds like a bird that wings. It's the Ducks.
Isn't there a team? What about Pittsburgh's team?
Penguins. The Penguins.
Penguins. Yeah. Or I think Jason snuck in there. I had to give a few clues. I'll give a few more later on. All right.
The Anaheim Ducks are another team.
Oh, they're another one. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. I'll take birds for 600.
Birds for 600. Every fall, these predators take wing in the AFC West.
Ravens? No.
Where's Baltimore? Are they in West?
Yes, that's Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. It's the Seahawks. Well, the Ravens are in that conference as well?
No, they're in a different conference. I just wasn't thinking about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
They used to be in the NFC, so.
I was starting to doubt my question maker. All right, Jason, you're still in control, though.
Let's go 70s cinema for 400.
70s cinema for 400. Movie that spawned the phrase, I'm as mad as hell,
Network.
And I'm not going to take it anymore.
What is Network?
Network. Daniel, Jason got in there first, I think, unfortunately for you. Fortunately for him. Network is correct. That was like a news program. Did it have Robert Redford in it? No,
I don't remember.
The guy hanging out the window.
Yeah, I forget the star of the movie, but he passed away before the Academy Awards and won the Best Actor award posthumously.
Oh wow, good little tidbit there from Jason. Continuing on, what would you like?
70 Cinema 200.
70 Cinema 200. Tatum O'Neal won an Oscar for her film debut in this 1973 picture. And from memory, she was 14 or something, very young.
Yeah, with Warren Beatty. And the movie was not Pretty Baby. It was something like that. I don't remember the movie, though.
Or something like Little Rascal or something. Oh, no, I'm not sure. Well, that's Ryan O'Neal's daughter as another. Paper Moon is the answer.
Paper Moon.
Paper Moon. All right, Jason, continuing on, what would you like?
Let's go 7600.
70s Cinema 600. Movie that helped launch the careers of Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, and Peter Bogdanovich.
I think I had to go to the movies more in the 70s.
Yeah. It's probably not that well known. Let's take a look. The Last Picture Show. Yeah, I don't even know that one.
I didn't see that one. All right, let's try for 800 then. 70 Cinema 800.
870 Cinema. Top grossing film ever at the time with the budget under $1 million. It gave George Lucas clout to make Star Wars.
Jaws.
What was it?
Jaws?
Jaws. Was he involved in that? American Graffiti. So at the time, that was the a top grossing film. Obviously, there's been more since then. Jason, what would you like?
Nice, yeah. Well, let's finish it up. Let's do the 1,000 on 70 Cinema.
70 Cinema 1,000. 2 of the 4 actors who sought deliverance in that 1972 film.
Burt Reynolds and Ned Beatty.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I know that John Voight, Burt Reynolds, Ronnie Cox, and Ned Beatty. You are correct. Fortunately, my answers were complete. That was 1,000 points. You're on 2,400. Don't worry, Dr. Laby, you'll get a chance.
I know the good doctor will get in here for
You're
sure.
in the next round. There's a category called medicine. You would have been in trouble if we were doing that round, but never mind. All right, what would you like?
We'll try South for 200.
South for 200. State where gold was found in 1874 when Custer led expedition to explore it.
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Let's take a look. South Dakota is correct. Well done. Dr. Laby's on the board. What would you like?
400 South.
400 South. Until 1963, Studebakers were made in this Indiana
What is
city.
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis. South Bend. Don't forget we're in the South. Is South Bend in Indianapolis?
Not the same thing.
Not the same thing. All right. You're still in control, though.
Let's go to 600 for South.
600 South. Except for Thailand, all independent states in this area have won their freedom since 1945.
South Pacific?
What is South Vietnam?
South Pacific or South Vietnam? Let's take a look. Southeast Asia. I reckon South Pacific would probably be the most accurate. What do you reckon? Should I accept
Of course,
it?
I'm going to agree.
All right. I'll give it to
Give
you.
it to 'em.
All right. You're in control now, Jason.
We'll go South for 800.
South for 800. As the Big Dipper points to the North Star, this major constellation points to the sky's South Pole. It's on the Australian flag.
What is a Little Dipper?
No.
Hmm.
Do you know Rob Whittaker in the UFC? He's got a tattoo of this on his chest. Oh, if you don't know the UFC, you won't know this one. It is the Southern Cross.
Okay.
Disgraceful that you didn't know that, our fellow allies. All right, continuing on. What would you like?
Oh, let's go to CC for 200.
CC for 200. Ham, bologna, pimento loaf, for example.
Cold cuts?
Cold cuts is correct. Well done, Jason. Would you like some more
400?
CC? 400 CC. Another name for subtitles.
What are captions?
Give me another.
Closed caption.
Oh, closed captions is correct.
Closed
well done.
captions.
You got it, Jason.
All right, 600 CC.
600 CC. When 1,400 actresses show up to audition for
Casting
one
call.
part. Casting call. Let's take a look. Cattle call. I'll accept that.
Battle call, yeah. All right, CC for 800.
CC for 800. In English, this Texas city's name would be the body of Christ.
Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. Jason's quick off the mark. Just beat you out, Dr. Laby. What would you like?
We'll try it for 1,000.
1,000 cc's. Acute viral disease of upper respiratory tract marked by a ruddy dose. Like you might say, I've got a ruddy dose of the... Or a...
Chronic congestion.
I've got a case of the... I've come down with a case of the...
I don't want to lose without points.
Common cold. You won't actually lose points if you guess.
Too simple.
Okay.
Yeah, too simple. All right,
We'll go
Jason.
Sports Birds 400.
Sports Birds 400. Since Pittsburgh's baseball team is the Pirates, their mascot dresses up as this.
Where's the parrot?
Parrot is correct. Well done. Dr. Laby in control. That was, you're on 600 now.
We go to 1,000.
1,000 South. Helping to found it in 1957, Martin Luther King headed this civil rights group until his death.
Well, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Ah, is that who invented that? That's it. Well done. I've heard of that. What would you like?
Done.
Here comes the
Do we have
doctor.
1,000 still, or is that gone already?
That's gone. You've got 19th century novels, Poland, or sports birds for 1,000.
Let's go to Poland for 200.
Okay, Poland. I'm scared of this one. After World War II, over 80% of the buildings in this capital...
What is
Warsaw.
Dr. Laby got that one in time. Well done.
400 Poland.
400 Poland. Thaddeus Kosciuszko, a general in this North American war, tried to unite Poland in 1794 but failed. So what are they asking? Thaddeus Kosciuszko, a general in this North American war. Which North American war?
Where's the War of Independence?
War of Independence. Let's take a look. That's the Revolutionary War, right?
Good enough. Yep.
Yep. Got that one, Dr. Laby. You're coming back. 2,200 versus 5,000.
Poland 600.
Poland 600 out of 1 out of 5, 1 out of 15, or 1 out of 50 approximate ratio of Polish families who own cars. Now, this is an old question, maybe from the 80s, and they were kind of a bit...
I think it's 1 out of 15.
1 out of 15. And you say 1 out of 50, Dr. Laby. Let's take a look. 1 out of 50 is correct. Dr. Laby is coming back like a dark horse. What would you like?
800.
800 Poland. Poland is among the world's largest producer of this fuel.
Coal.
Jason in there with coal is correct. What would you like?
We'll go 1,000 for Poland.
1,000 for Poland. Poland's been a good category. After 1572, the Poles used this method to select a king.
Elections.
Let's take a look. Election is correct. Dr. Laby on 3,800 now.
I didn't know we had any kings elected. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it?
Let's go to 19th century novels for 200.
19th century novels for 200. Of all his books, he said David Copperfield was his favourite child. Probably the guy who wrote... Charles Dickens is correct. I couldn't remember, but that is correct. Well done. 4,000. You're in control still, Dr. Laby.
Go to 400.
19th century novels 400. The official title of Alice in Wonderland.
I don't remember.
All right, now I don't know if this is correct, but I think it's Through the something.
I don't remember.
Through the something. Let's take a look. Oh no, I was wrong. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Never listened to me. You're still in control, Dr. Laby.
600, please.
600 19th century novels. Henry James' novel whose New York setting is its title. New York something. Or, what was that movie that had Daniel Day-Lewis in it? Was that based on that book?
It was Mohawk something, wasn't there? But I don't remember.
Yeah, but he did a New York one. I'm going to guess Gangs of New York. No. Washington Square.
Okay.
So is that in New York?
It's just down the block for me, yep.
I thought it would be in Washington. Silly me. Just like I get confused with DC and Seattle and all that stuff. You're in control. Dr. Laby, what would you like?
Let's go 800 novels.
800. For over 50 years, one of these was The Man Without a Country's Home. Sorry?
No, that's not right.
For over 50 years, one of these was The Man Without a Country's Home. One of them. So it must be a thing. A wagon or something. Let's take a look.
I promise to think of something from the 19th century.
Ship. Lived on a ship. 2 questions left. Dr. Laby, 19th century novels or sports birds for 1,000.
Let's go to novels for 1,000.
Captain Nemo dies in both these Jules Verne novels.
That's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Around the World in 80 Days, maybe?
Let's take a look.
The other one.
Mysterious Island was the second one.
All right, so that's a miss.
You got the first one right. All right, last question. Here it is. Name an NBA team that qualifies for this category. Hawks.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's take a look. Hawks, Pelicans, or Raptors? Hawks is correct. Well done. Now, you're on 6,800. I forgot to adjust your score. And Dr. Laby on 4,000. A very good game. Came back towards the end. Let's have a round of applause for our wonderful guests. Awesome. All right. We're going to kick things off with Dr. Laby on the left. Now, sports ophthalmology is very interesting because a lot of professional teams have a lot of professionals that want to hone in on various skills. So I was quite interested to read about that. And I saw on your website you had a baseball batter. And would that be the main sort of one of the main sports that looks to get an edge with, optical health?
Well, every sport has a need for optimal vision. Certainly, baseball's been called hitting a baseball has been thought of as one of the hardest things to do in sports. But I worked with Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool, and kicking a soccer ball in the goal isn't that easy either. Or with the Olympic team, I was in Beijing and Tokyo with the U.S. team, and boxers and track and field. Every sport has a different need. Archers, every sport's different. So vision plays a role across the board.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine archers, shooting, all of that. And golf was another one because I remember when I was a caddy, I used to always lose the ball because I had terrible eyes. And being able to judge the distance and stuff. And what are some of the things you can do? So do you work with teams generally? They will hire you, or do you work one-on-one with athletes?
Well, mostly with teams, which ends up being one-on-one with the athletes on the team.
Yep.
But also with private athletes, aspiring athletes, collegiate athletes, as I mentioned, Olympic athletes, and some professional athletes, individually. So it really depends. But you mentioned golf, and there's a concept called the quiet eye, and if you search on Google quiet eye in golf, you'll probably take several strokes off your game, because that technique will improve your accuracy and your ability to put the ball into the hole.
And what does that involve?
Well, quiet eye is a concept where you want to keep your eye looking at the point of contact between, let's say, the putter and the ball if you're on the green. And not only before the putter hits the ball where you want to hit it, but even after the putter makes contact and the ball goes away, keep your eye looking at that same point of contact for at least a half a second, maybe a second after contact. You don't have to follow the ball the moment it leaves. It's going to go the same way whether you watch it or not. But if you keep your eyes fixed at that point of contact after the ball leaves, you have a much better chance of being an accurate stroke and hitting the ball into the hole.
Yeah, otherwise you do that, the yip thing where you kind of lift up on the ball, I guess. That makes sense. And you're just trying to retrain your brain, I guess, to...
Well, the idea is that to make an eye movement to follow the ball, it takes a few hundred milliseconds before contact to think about that movement. So if you're thinking about doing something else besides 100% hitting the ball properly, it won't be quite as accurate as if you're 100% concentrated on the ball, thinking only about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's more about, when we think of eye stuff, we just think about the physical thing of like, do I need glasses or not? But obviously the brain side of it is the area that you can work on. And I've got here in your notes, it says 20/20 vision. We always say that's the best vision. Is that true or is that false?
No, 20/20 is the average vision. It's not the best vision. So if you're 20/20, you're on average of what everybody else sees. But if you're a professional athlete, that's probably not going to be good enough. And if you really want to have the best vision possible, it's generally thought of as 20/8, meaning that you can see from 20 feet what the average person sees from 8 feet.
So is the aim of the game for some athletes to improve, go from 20/20 to something higher?
Well, the aim, I think, is to optimize the vision you need for your sport. For example, the Olympic boxers, when we work with them, they don't need to have the same vision that a baseball player has to have to identify the pitch. they have to have different skills. They have to have good peripheral vision, good hand-eye coordination, reaction, good depth perception to know how far away the opponent is and their hands are from them. That's all critical for boxing. So that you want to optimize those things. Whereas in baseball, depth perception really doesn't play a role. In archery, depth perception doesn't play a role. The target is flat. And so optimizing those things for baseball and archery doesn't make sense. You want to optimize sharpness because that is critical because the targets are farther away.
What do you do with baseball players? Because I watch them and I watch these guys throwing these, 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, and I just can't. It's just a blur. Well, what can you do with somebody to help them pick up the ball?
Well, we have this concept we call the sports vision pyramid. So you want to optimize from the base, which is sharp vision, because to pick up the baseball, to know what pitch it is, you have to identify the fingers of the pitcher on the ball, and you identify the spin of the seams of the ball when it's released. And that tells you what pitch is coming and where it's going to go. And then you project in your mind a dotted line of where the ball you think is going to go, and you swing the bat to put it in the right place. Now, if you misread the pitch, you'll put the bat in the wrong place, and you look kind of ridiculous. But it's not only because you misread a very difficult task of identifying the pitch. And so that's the cue. You have to have good enough vision, fast enough vision. You can't just have something like an eye chart where you look at it for 5 minutes and you guess 10 times until you get the answer correct. That's not going to be successful. You have to see it very, very quickly, very accurately, and then make a quick decision, a subconscious decision about where it's going to go, and put the ball in the bat in the right place to contact the ball.
It must be like hundredths of a second that the decision.
You have less than a third of a second. A blink of the eye takes about a third of a second. You have less than that to make all that decision and process action.
There was a terrific story about that, by the way. Hank Aaron played on the same team as Joe Torre, who most people know is a skipper, but he was a player as well. And famously, Torre was on deck, and Hank, rare strikeout, walking back into the dugout. I'm sorry, was in the dugout, walking back to the dugout, told Torre, he said, "Man, I saw like the seams tumbling in on me. I knew it was a slider, but I couldn't adjust in time." And he was upset about that. His exact words. And Torre said, "I knew then I was never going to be as good a hitter as Hank Aaron. So I watched him all the time and tried to emulate him, but I knew then he's seeing seams out of the pitcher's hands, and I can't see that."
It's amazing.
I started with baseball in 1992. I've worked with probably 15 teams. I worked with MLB. I've got 8 World Series rings. And
awesome.
If Joe Torre had been with me, there was a chance maybe we could fix his vision up.
There you go. I always thought it was an amazing. I'm a big Hank Aaron fan. I always thought it was an amazing story. I mean, Joe was a good baseball player, a good, not great, but a good major leaguer. But he said, I just knew that we were just something separate. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, to be able to the players are going to be the most successful. Are going to pick up that spin and be able to react fast enough. You don't have to have the strength. You just have to be able to know where the ball is and put it into the right place in the field, and you'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yes, indeed.
Would you say it's important for up and coming players to say get some of this practice in, like maybe high school or college teams, and then it's going to be a lot easier at the highest level?
Well, it's a long education process, right? People talk about a 10,000-hour rule of having to do a task for 10,000 hours before you get really expert at it. May or may not be the case, but the idea is you really have to start out young practicing, and obviously you want to optimize your vision so that practice is the most beneficial as soon as possible. That's why I'm going next week down to the Dominican Republic, the week after to Arizona, to work with players that were just signed through the draft and were just selected, Dominican, to make sure at the very young level we have their vision optimized so that they can get the education, the training, the experience to boost them up as far as they can get into the major leagues, hopefully. That's where the clubs benefit the best. Clubs that have a good farm system, a good system of their own athletes that are progressing well, that they're all strong, that gives them the most options to trade, most options to have a successful winning team. And the vision is a big part of that, to get that to the point where those players can really advance. Awesome.
And what's the process if somebody is in charge of an organization and they are thinking like, this is what we need? Who can you work with? Is it all East Coast, or do you work nationwide around the States?
I work internationally. I've been all over the world with athletes,
Yep.
with teams. The Tokyo Olympic, that team was actually a foreign team. Trent Alexander-Arnold plays for Liverpool in the UK in the Premier League. That's several trips out there and some training, remote training there. I have a player in the Philippines, Indonesia, not the Philippines, that's a top level athlete in her sport that I'm training remotely. So there's no limit. The globe is relatively small these days. With airplanes, you can get far. I was in Berlin for the Euros last month, the quarterfinal game match.
Oh, cool.
So getting around is not really a big deal, and so I can work with anybody, either in person or remotely.
Wonderful. Well, that's very interesting. That's Dr. Daniel Laby, sports vision ophthalmologist. And if you want to...
I just put in a quick plug for this. I wrote a book about sports vision. If anyone's interested, it's on Amazon. It's called Eye of the Champion. And it kind of goes through the vision needs of elite athletes and what they need to perform optimally in their sport. It's been selling pretty well. It's got a lot of good reviews, and I think people might enjoy taking a look at it.
Probably the best way to get to understand what you do and who you work with and how you can help. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Laby. That was very interesting. And Jason, over there in Baton Rouge, is that correct?
Very, very nearby, yes.
Awesome. And now, Exit Momentum, it's a very good name. To me, it is about getting ready to exit your business, but I don't know if that's correct. Is that what you're all about?
Well, what's interesting is that's how we started our firm, but the truth is that to accelerate and reach scale in your business, it's very much the same pathway that you would take to increase the value of your business as well. It comes down to a great degree of getting the owner's fingerprints off of things.
Yeah.
And, because when you remove the owner and they're involved in every piece of the business, obviously you lose some valuation there. So we help people with their accountability charts, their organization, their processes, their meetings, their communications, their prioritization, a lot of different ideas. And to get them to operate at scale, which means that owner is somewhat removed from the operations.
And do you find sometimes when the owner is, I guess, got their fingers all over the place and micromanaging, do you find that it hampers the team and sometimes you've got a team problem? And what do you do? I mean, do you need to sometimes, advocate getting rid of a lot of people and building a new team? What constitutes a strong team, and how do you get one?
So the interesting thing is that we don't work with startups and we don't work with rescue missions. So we're only working with already successful companies. And therein lies the first difficult hurdle. And that is the owner has created some success doing things a particular way. And they're pretty damn confident that that's the way to do it. So we have to convince them that what has been successful to reach the spot that they are now is not sufficient to reach the next level of operation. And it comes down to a personal capacity issue in those particular instances. An individual only has so much capacity, right? So much emotional, physical, mental capacity to bring to bear on a daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. And these owners can reach a real point of burnout. And again, just their own limitations. There's only 24 hours a day. There's only one of them to go around. There's some emotional and physical toll whenever you're involved at that level. And many of them working 60, 70 hours a week just to keep up. And then what happens is they feel like they actually never keep up. They never catch up. They're constantly behind the eight ball. The visual sort of cue that we use in this space is the whack-a-mole game. You know how they play that and you knock the little mole down the hole and you show up at work in the morning and you whack them and you whack all day. And finally, at some point, you give in, you put it down, you go home, you eat, you go to sleep, you get up, you come out, you pick up your mallet, here you go again. And that's every day. And so that's the equivalent of really just putting out fires all day long and not really building, not setting a vision, not setting a plan, a strategic plan behind that vision to drive the new results you want to get. You'd be surprised how many $5, $10, $30 million businesses and their vision is, what's our vision? Just make more money. And that's it. That's as deep as it goes. So.
Yeah. One thing you said, sometimes it's a battle. You're talking to a successful person. They've done it their way. It's worked. How much resistance do you get when you're telling them, no, you've got to change things up and do it this way? I mean, what do they say to you, and what's your answer to them?
Well, we actually get very little resistance, and here's why. We're picky about who we work with. So we have a 90-minute fit meeting. And during that meeting, not only is the prospect deciding if we're the right fit, because we don't fit everyone, we're also deciding if they're the right fit for us. Are they receptive? Are they willing? Are they going to be patiently committed to a process? Like, are they in the space to get there yet? Now, we help them. And talking to them and their leadership team and asking some questions and exposing some things, they're usually in a bit of shock when they hear some of the answers that come out of this meeting. But it's critical for them to see that what they think and what from their sort of myopic point of view is not what's really the truth inside their leadership team. So once we get past that and they realize, oh my goodness, we've got some real holes in our game, this is what's holding us back. I didn't know that my team felt that we were a 3 out of 10 in terms of united around our strategy. I didn't know that they thought our weekly meetings were a 1 out of 10 in terms of productivity. So questions like that expose those issues. And at that point, most of them understand, wow, there's something that needs to happen. And clearly I have, at least up till now, been unable to make that happen. So.
Yeah.
And then the message that we share with them is very simple. It's not that you can't, right? You're perfectly capable. You're a smart person. You got smart people on your team. You've built something tremendous already. It's how long is it going to take you to figure it out, right? And the analogy I love to use, if you had never seen a bicycle, never ever seen one ridden, and it just suddenly appeared, do you really know that you would know how to operate it? You might turn it upside down and crank the wheels like, oh, that's pretty nifty. That's a nifty thing. You would, God knows what you would end up using it for, and maybe never figure out that, oh, look, you can sit on it, and it's kind of accelerator. It's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. You might fall down once and go, oh, hell, that's not how that works. It can't be. Look, I'm all skinned up. So what we do is we're coming in and just saying, listen, yeah, you might be able to figure out on your own, but at what cost? So what cost personally in your life, at what cost to your team, at what financial cost, at what cost in the marketplace, versus we're going to put this operating system in place that's going to accelerate you to whatever your next level of results is that are right now are unattainable. And if we can accelerate that process and we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, we have people hit their 10-year targets, what we call a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And we've had clients that have hit that inside of 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, the operating system, I was going to ask you what would be the one key thing to do to move from one level to the next level. Tell us about what you mean by operating system and what that can do for a business.
So we're not industrially specific, right? Much like the good doctor here, there's a skill set that he's teaching that's applicable across a spectrum of activities, right? So it doesn't matter what sport, here's a component that can help you get better at your sport, and it may be more applicable to others. But so similarly, we're not industrially specific, which means if you have a renovation company, I'm not going to help you figure out how to do drywall better, right? If you're an attorney firm, I'm not going to teach you anything about litigation. It's not going to happen. Now, what we do help you with is getting clear on a couple of components, right? That first component is, what is your vision? Where are you headed? What is the purpose of your organization other than just to make money, right? What differentiates you in the marketplace? What are your differentiating activities compared to your competitors? How are you positioned in the market? How is your pricing in the market? And then how are you executing on that? Who's your ideal client? And are you willing to say no to some non-ideal clients as you grow? Because every dollar made is not optimum. Every dollar made is not a good dollar, right? Sometimes it costs you a great deal more to make that dollar. So we do those things. And then we put some very specific things in place, a specific weekly tactical meeting. You can have your strategy in place. But then life happens, right? As Mike Tyson famously said, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. So you have your strategy in place, and then business happens, life happens. Nothing ever goes according to plan. So you make tactical adjustments on a weekly basis. The problem is that most people, they sort of chase shiny objects, and they have a frequency bias, meaning that today's problem is the most important problem we've ever faced, and we all hands on deck. Meanwhile, the priority problem has been dropped or not prioritized or not being taken care of when it was the more critical piece. So in our meetings, we help people to understand how to do that, how to warehouse the list of things that need to get done, and how to prioritize those, and then build sort of scrum teams to attack that and knock those out one after another, after another, after another, after another. And they'll look up at a quarterly session and realize that during the past quarter, they've handled over 100 different issues and opportunities with 200 actionable items, to-dos completed. So they can see they're actually moving the needle, because, it'll take some time for some of this stuff to show up where it really counts on the P&L.
Yeah, and how long does it take for these changes to stick? How long do you need to work with people?
Yeah. So we don't operate with a contract, which makes us unique in the marketplace. We have an agreement, and part of one of our core values is that we provide value with every interaction. So it kind of keeps us on purpose, right? That we could be fired at any moment. There's no contractual obligation. So we have to continue to bring value with every session that we use. Now, what we see is we recommend people to complete our 90-day implementation, which is 3 different sessions to get things started. And then there's a quarterly cadence. So we recommend people stick with us at least a year to make this work. And sometimes people stay with us 3, 4. We've got the clients been around for 5 years now. They just like the third party force to come in and help them see things. But so, yeah, it takes a minute to get this process in place. And before it shows up, right, on the bottom line, the literal bottom line, you see it in places of customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, ease of operation, some relief of stress and the craziness and the chaos of a growth business. If some of that just comes naturally, but again, some of that difficulty. So as we work through and sort of retrain the way people think and operate and how they interact, how they attack problems, there are some benefits that begin to be realized that aren't quite in the numbers yet, but they will show up in the numbers as time goes down.
Do most people understand that once they see the metrics improving, they're on the right path, or are people really impatient, saying, hey, I'm paying you, where's the increased profit? Do most people understand it takes time for the wheel to turn?
That's on us, quite frankly, right? Once again, if I were coaching folks on some eyesight issues, right, I would give them the impression that after 10 minutes and they understood the concepts that were shared earlier, that's it, you're good to go, right? No, there's this long, it takes a while to incorporate these things, right, to make them secondary and make them second nature rather than just an idea I'm trying to execute on. As I like to say, in our world, we don't want to install an operating system so you have cool stories to tell at cocktail parties. I don't care. What I care about literally is the bottom line. So we frame that up with people, right? So if they get impatient and don't understand, that's our fault. That's not their fault. That's our fault. We have to own that we weren't clear, right? And we're not helping them see the impact it's having already, because the impact, again, you'll be able to see some numbers fairly quickly, but a lot of the early impact just comes from operation and not beating these dead horses, not trying to conquer the same chronic problems over and over and over and over. And so that whole tedious, burdensome sort of feeling, that heavy feeling begins to disappear, and they can see, wow, now we're pouring capacity into growth issues rather than putting out fire. So I'm chasing the tiger by the tail. We're out in front now. We're operating on the front side, making decisions about where we want to go rather than trying to hang on to the bumper, like the dog chasing the car. He finally catches the car. Now what?
You can
Right.
just tell, can't you, when the like the culture of the place is on track, and even though you might not see financial results, you can just tell that wow, we're really moving somewhere now, and we're on the way. So I'd imagine most people would understand that. Well, that's very interesting, and that's Jason Ambeau. So if you want to have a chat to Jason and just get things sorted, get the chaos out and start moving in the right direction. As Jason said, you've already, got a successful business. You just need to get things running, smoothly for the next level. Let's have a round of applause for a wonderful guest. That was very interesting, I thought. Awesome. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to wrap things up. The guests can be contacted via the show notes, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Pleasure, gentlemen.